Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I wanted to show you a game where I was the masturbator. But really, like, this is a concept that I think a lot of people struggle with, especially as a support player. A lot of people think, oh, I'm creating space, I'm setting up good fights, when in reality, you're just feeding. And even if you're not the guy who's feeding and you're still actually trying to bait, this video is going to give you a much better idea of how to actually set up good fights without having to call a 5-man smoke gank or perfectly read the enemy team's movement. I'm just gonna show you how relatively simple positioning changes can help you become a significantly better player, because there's a fine line between feeding and baiting. By the way guys, if you want to become absolutely broken, well, what you need to do is sign up to the GameLeap website down below right now. The reason why you should do that is because every single day we post a new video there. Content that you simply just will never get on YouTube, we post every single day to the website. It's really top tier stuff. I'm very proud of what I make over there. We also have other creators, many of my great friends who are top tier Dota players, creating guides about different heroes, different roles, different items, skill builds, talent builds, everything you need to know to get to the next rank. So if you feel a little bit lost, you're a little bit stuck, click the link down below. I'll see you guys there. And now let's get into the video. Alright, so the first big bait play that I'm going to show you guys comes around the 13-minute mark here, and it's a bait around the mid-tier 1 tower. Now, there's a couple main things I want to talk about before we get into the bait. I'll let the clip play out a little bit, but the main thing I want to talk about is my team comp. I have a Bounty Hunter, a Luna, a Snapfire, a Tinker, and an Ogre. We really don't have a lot of setup. We don't have a good way to jump targets. We don't have a Clockwork, we don't have some Tidehunter, a Mars. We don't have any Blink Dagger Initiator. I mean, eventually Snapfire can be that, but not really. As you can see, he has only 1 point in Cookie, which is fine, that's our offlaner, but he's not really an initiator. He's more of like a blink in, do damage hero and ulti from the back guy. So, what does that kind of imply? Well, it implies that we kind of have to take a weird stance on Dota this game. And what I mean by that is when you don't have a stun on your team, the best way to win fights is to bait. Because often when you don't have a stun, it often means you have a lot of damage dealers, right? It makes the game a little bit weird because yes, we have a Tinker doing damage from the back, a Snap doing damage from the back, and Luna doing damage from the middle, as well as a Bounty who, like, I don't know, that hero just like runs around, right? And so as you look at this mid defense here, I'm gonna make a good read, which I thought was a generally good play. I see the Tide and the Bane shifting to the right here, so I take the long route. If I take the short route and try to intercept them, I don't think it would necessarily be bad here. The only reason why it wouldn't be great is I don't want the fight to instantly happen. At least that was my goal, because Snapfire was dead for 16 seconds. I'm looking at this, and you have to look at all the factors to really be the best. I'm looking at the Snap respawn timer. I'm like, okay, I don't really want to force the fight. In the back of my head, I don't want to force the fight. I want to secure this area. Now, unfortunately, I kind of messed up. It took me too long to put down the ward, like I sort of misclicked. I meant to instantly place it and back up. Another thing when I'm talking about the fine line between feeding and baiting, the speed at which I placed this ward, good pun, right, is very slow, right? It was very slow, but I get charged, okay? And I don't mind this because I understand that if I put a D ward from here, I mean, if I put a ward or a D ward from this position, they have to run down the hill to catch me. It's the early game. This guy does have a Blink Dagger, to be fair. This guy does not, and this guy has charge. But as you can see, the general positioning of this fight is going to be like relatively favorable. On top of that, if you look at my items, I've specifically designed my item build to do this. The tankiest items in the early game are generally Raindrop, Wand, and Fluffy Hat. I would say those are the top 3 tanky items that you can purchase early on. I obviously have 2 of them, even Mangoes as well as a neutral item. So I end up getting comboed here. Unfortunately, I couldn't get off my magic wand. Maybe I could have popped it a little bit earlier. The main thing you're going to see is that now the enemy team has committed a big set of spells. This guy's committed combo in his blink, this guy has charged in, and so my team is now in a position where we can look to take a fight. The Spirit Breaker gets picked off, Tiny looks to reinitiate, but as you saw earlier, I put down a ward, right? Put down a ward. And as a result of this ward, my team can slowly but surely look to pick off this area. The Tiny blinks in, but now my Snapfire respawns, and that is why I didn't walk up this hill or up this hill. I placed down the ward, scout the movement, and now Snapfire is able to clean up. Huge cookie on the 2, beautifully done by him. The Tinker's able to get the Tiny kill, and it was a massive fight for our team. Another factor that is a big part of baiting is chipping people down before you're baiting, right? Or setting up a good fight. Here, Ignite is one of the longest cast range, annoying abilities in the game. Unfortunately there I didn't get a multicast, but the main gist you're seeing when I ignite these guys is I ignite them from really far away, so if they try to go on me, it's going to be inconvenient and probably not work. And then later on, if they do go on me, this Spirit Breaker, who has no innate regen besides his HP regen, is going to be missing 200 to 300 HP. Unfortunately, Bane has Tranquils, but even then, it's going to cause him to lose a little bit of health. So if a fight happens in the subsequent 15 to 20 seconds, this will be a more favorable trade as a result. Now, unfortunately here, I would say it was a bit of a mistake. I'm not like particularly upset about this play. I ended up getting tiny tossed, but honestly, better me than anyone else. And at the end of the day, like, I think I end up getting off my Ignite. Yeah, so you can see I have the good reaction here of popping Ignite. I think I wasted my wand. Let's take a quick look at that. Did I waste my wand? I think I wasted my wand. No, okay, no, the wand was good. So I instantly pop my Ignite, my wand, and you can see I understand that when I'm baiting, when I'm getting gone on like this, I just have to not panic, right? Look at Ogre Magi's face, I don't know. But I just have to not panic. Like, yes, I got tossed out of position. You could argue I was a little bit too far up. You know, I definitely forgot about the toss. I didn't you know, take that into account. But at the end of the day, once again, look at their HP pools. I'm not saying that this is good. Like, I end up dying and none of them die. But look at this. This Tide is like 1 HP now. This guy's half. This guy used his combo. This guy's half. Like, you know, they have to go back to base on Spirit Breaker, and like basically Tide has to jungle / go back to base. I mean, he has a lot of HP regen. But still, he's at this like very awkward HP range now. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think a lot of people consider this. Even pros, I actually don't think necessarily abuse what I'm talking about here as much as they could. It's like one of those concepts that's a little bit fidgety. It's weird to talk about because, like, I sacrifice my life, but this guy has to go back to base. This guy, you know, commits resources. But the biggest factor here was this Tide. He's just half HP. Half HP Tide can get bursted, right? So he can't necessarily like push up as far. He can't go you know, to here. He can't look to pressure my mid-tier one. And a constant theme in this game as well was me shoving in mid, Tinker shoving in mid, and the Snap shoving in mid was honestly a big deal, right? I feel like the enemy team didn't do a great job of it, so you'll consistently see that this mid tower is low. On top of that, I even fed earlier on. I didn't show that clip, but at around minute 10, the minute 10 cart, I killed myself, but we got like most of this mid tower. So you can see I'm just igniting mid, igniting mid, igniting mid, over and over and over again. And it's just forcing the enemy team into this weird spot where they're like trying to clear it, but they have kind of like weird heroes at doing it. Spirit Breaker isn't great at clearing mid. He's okay, but early game he's not great. Bane is not great, right? Because they always have to go in the cast range of your spells. So you'll see what happens here is Bane tries to defend this constant siege that I'm putting on, and we get the mid-tier one and the Bane kill. Now, here's the best play of the game. This is where I'm going to end off the video as well with this last bait play. You're going to see we kill off this Bane, right? So, okay, decent start to the fight. We get mid-tower. And next up, honestly, at this point in the game, generally what you do is you look to kind of push into this area of the map. Now, TA ends up running at me. And I think my response to TA running at me was pretty close to perfect, at least based on the circumstances that I was in. So, as you'll see here, all right, we get the mid-tower. I was looking toward, I see the TA running at me, so I have the good reaction to move my camera down. You could definitely tell I'm paying attention to the minimap, and I'm really trying to read the enemy team's movements. I'm not just like watching my hero. Most players, guys, including you, and including me most of the games, we're not watching the minimap most of the time. We're often just watching our hero. We're watching Ogre Magi just kind of flop around. Right, but I react to her, and because of this reaction, my slight movement makes me not get hit by the meld. Yeah, you could also call this a mistake from the TA, and I think that's fair as well, but at the same time, he probably didn't expect me to turn around as fast as I did. But this is why it's a fine line between feeding and baiting. Me standing here makes me get insta-killed by TA. Me standing here, literally, like, you see these circles, okay? Here to here, this is feeding. This can be argued as baiting. My step back, don't get hit by the meld, that causes me to be able to get off Ignite, which hits this guy, and my stun, and now I continue to kite out. Notice how I don't man up after that. This is important. A lot of people will be like, oh, you have no spells left, just pop your wand and man up. No, you want to bait them in as far as possible, so I keep running. Now this Tide wants to run at me, right? They obviously, TA kind of panics, she's like, oh shoot, you know, Luna Eclipse plus Luna BKB timing. Plus, you know, a bounty shifting in. Also, I'm ignited, right? So he's just dying in the background. It's like, help. And so now I live on literally 1 HP, which, you know, that part's the least important, you know? It's not like, oh, you know, like, this is such a good play because I lived on 1 HP. I don't even care if I die, guys. Like, really, I don't care if I die. But I barely live, and now TA overextends. She dies, and it turns into, like, this huge advantage. I think Tiny dies as well. No, he had... Does he die? Yeah, I think he dies. Yeah. And yeah, like I really want you guys to see that, like, that whole fight. You might not believe me. I know people are like, people don't get that this is like a thing, or like what I'm saying is true. They'll just like dismiss it as like me trying to make my gameplay seem as good as possible. Like, bad players will do that. But unironically, that small difference in positioning causes this fight to go from a quick Ogre Magi pickoff, which is what he wanted this to be. He has this D-Lance Deso timing. He just wants to kill me, move on to farming. That's it. That's all this guy wants. This is Tomato, right? Ranked 21 player. That's all he wants. He's no, oh my God, that's a lot of games. Holy shit. 16,000. Oh my God. But the thing is, like, yeah, sniping and positioning, it makes the world's difference, boys. It makes the world's difference. Also, I own my lane, relatively own my lane, which means that this guy gets a really early BKB timing, which is important as well. Nonetheless, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a lot and are kind of inspired to say, like, hey, I need to work on my positioning. I need to work on my reaction time. I need to work on, you know, just casting my spells more casually. Another thing that you hopefully learned from this video as well, that I often push to my coaching students in my private coaching sessions, is that you have to get off your spells when you're dying. You have to. If you are dropping low and you don't pop your wand, you don't pop your ignite, you don't pop your fire blast, you're griefing, guys. You're griefing. You might not see it like that, right? You might be like, it's not that big of a deal. It's a huge deal. If you can do 200-300 damage to a Spirit Breaker before dying and you don't, you are griefing. By the way, we went on to win this game, but you are griefing. Because like literally that 200-300 damage is the difference between your team having to overcommit for that kill or not. You know how they had to overcommit for my kill? Because I didn't get hit by the meld? Think about it like that. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.